Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about land flipping, we talk about cash flow, we talk about wealth creation. And my guest today is James Casey, and we're going to talk about his land deals. But first, we do our quick intro.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
All right, so we're back, and as I mentioned already, James Casey is one of our students who has come across our path and has for the last 3 years rocked it in the land world. So first of all, welcome, James.
Hey, Jack, how's it going? Thanks for having me, man. This is such an honor, and a privilege to be talking to you today.
I'm excited to have you on here. So James, let's jump right into it. Give us a little bit of your background and how did you find us? First, give us a little bit of your background. What's your story?
So I live in Los Angeles, California, North Hollywood, and I've just born and raised here my whole life, and going through a lot of different things as far as family stuff that's kind of gotten to me, being motivated and getting me where I'm at. My father was an alcoholic. My sister's completely disabled. And so I had a lot of things that were kind of pushing me in not so good directions and all the time. And so I always had to push through and overcome and, be better. My mom was always hardworking, and she kind of showed me, what hard work was all about. So then I ended up through school, college, all of that stuff. Got into corporate America up until 2017 when I met you. I was working in corporate America for over 15 years as an environmental specialist. Okay. And just tired of it. I was doing 4 people's jobs. I was, making okay money, as far as, middle classity goes. But I always wanted more. I strive to just be excellent and really I have a very altruistic personality where, I really want to be in a position to be able to give back to people and change the world. I mean, I always tell people, and they think I'm absolutely crazy. They're like, how can you think you can change the world? And I said, well, I'm going to get there. And hopefully, Jack, with your guidance and help, it's really helped me in the last 3 years. Like I said, in 2017, awesome. I met you.
We all can change the world, by the way. We all can. We might not be able to change the world at a level of Mother Teresa. I mean, she didn't change the world. She changed those laws. She never tried to change the world. She changed the place that God put her, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Changing. So she's we might never go change the world, but at the level of somebody that invents the cure for all illnesses, right? But we can change the world one person at a time, and that's, of course, you can change the world because you don't know the ripple effect of that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. I love
definitely. That. I mean, you think about the poverty and obviously the race issues that are going on, and it's incredible because there's so much abundance in the world that, how is there poor people? I mean, there's so much out there for people to tap into or learn about, or, even just people to give back a little bit to those who are just struggling a little bit. But anyway, so that's like kind of the future of hopefully James Casey is, helping out some of those people. But even I've had a great experience just being in your group, Jack, and, I get students of yours who, they see my posts on your page. So, I thank you for letting me post there and, just kind of giving them hope, because I get people who contact me, they think, all of a sudden I do like a few deals and, I'm like a land guru now, to them. And I'm like, no, guys, I'm not the expert. Jack and his team is the expert, but they contact me. I got my good buddy, Brian Mitchell, who what's up, Brian? He's just trying so hard to get his first deal. He's got a lot of land that he's bought or got under contract, but, isn't over that hurdle yet. So he's constantly, throwing ideas off of me and I love to help these people. And, I had a slew of just others, especially after the last post, that I had just of your people just kind of coming to me. And, I love to try to help as much as I can. Again, I always tell them, I said, I'm still getting through it. I've lived the last few years off of land, but by no means do I feel like I've gotten to the mountaintop and, you know, all of that. But anyway, so I met you in 2018 at actually here in LA at a prosperity through land real estate group that my mom was actually a part of. You know, the Lovejoys or Lovejoy, the Loves, you know the Loves pretty well. They've been at a lot of your events. And so my mom drugged me to this thing.
Stephen Robin Love and yeah, Robin is not doing too well, but Steve.
Oh yeah.
Show, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's sad to hear. Hopefully, he, you know, does a little bit better, gets through it, or she does.
A stroke, and she is rehabilitating from it, from what I understand.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, they're running a great RIA, so I'm wonderful. That's where your mom actually saw me. Okay, great.
Yeah. So my mom was a bit of a, she's always been, I think for the last 20 years, I would call her a seminar junkie. You know, you talk about it in your live events, and you talk about how, you know, this is going to be the last seminar you're ever going to go to. And to tell you the truth, the last live event, well, actually really in 2018, in October or September, I can't remember when it was. That was my last seminar because I met you at the live event. I bought Land Profit Generator here in LA at that little event, went and saw you on the following Saturday. And at the time I had already owned about 2 or 3 pieces of land. And I was just thinking, oh, this is just a buy and hold kind of situation. You know, I had the corporate America mindset, 401k ideas of, okay, I'm going to just hold these for like a minuscule return and just resell them and, you know, retire or something, you know, so when I met you, it all just came together. It clicked. I was already into land, and I'm like, this is the guy. This is the land guy. And I'm going to learn everything I can off of this guy, and I'm going to make it work. So really after that, you know, I went to the live event in October, September, and literally after the live event, I had done, you know, it was a really, I mean, people would think I was crazy now if you know, I tell them, but it was like a $3,000 deal. I bought it for $1,000. I sold it for $4,000 up in Utah. Happened to actually go on vacation to go pick up the check at the title office, you know, on the way to this wedding I was going to in Utah, and landed that first deal. And I said, this is it. I can do this. And I actually quit my job in November. And ever since, I've been doing land and living off of land. You know, I pulled 10 grand out of my 401k and just started the business. You know, I laid down the groundwork at that live event in September, October 2017. I also got Investment Dominator, and it was a game changer because I did that first deal without it. And I mean, it was not too difficult because everything's in Land Profit Generator as far as the forms and as far as the letters, as far as the contracts and stuff like that. But once I got ID, I said, oh my God, this makes it almost too easy, you know, to just get everything in the system. You click buttons, you know, I'm very computer savvy. So anybody else who is, they're like, oh my God, this thing's crazy. You know, it just does everything. And you guys just added like this note section, which really helps me because I have a couple seller finance deals. And I'm like, wow, because I was managing all these notes manually and doing the invoices and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool too. But anyway, so yeah, it all really skyrocketed in 2018. And again, I'm not doing the, you know, 10, 20 deals a month type of deal, but I can get a good 8 to 10 done in a year and live off of that pretty comfortably. Averaging about $10,000 per deal. You know, like I've done these few deals that are, you know, $20,000 that really, you know, I try to stay around the 13, 18, 20,000, but I'm not going to turn down 10 grand, you know?
No, of course not. Of course not. And if you do 8 to 10 of those, that's a 6-figure income right there. And you can live most everywhere in the country with that. And then you just grow from there if you desire to grow from there. But to the point about the Investment Dominator, as a matter of fact, we don't even, because of what you said, that it just is it just makes sense to have them together. We don't even sell them separately anymore now. So it's now like, you want to do this business, you don't just buy a home study course that becomes shelf help for most people up there. And we don't want to be in the business of shelf help. We don't want to be in the business of just giving somebody something that they never open and look at. We want to be in the business of changing people's lives. So therefore, when people come to us now, we really ask them to get both together because because the investment dominator, our software, our CRM, our deal management workflow software really helps you implement the program so much better, as you mentioned.
Yeah. No, it makes complete sense. I mean, I think even after, like I said, I met you in June 2017 and I got the Land Profit Generator, but guess what? Monday I had to go back to work. I met you on a Saturday and I bought Land Profit and I was super into it. But, I went back to work and I'm back in corporate America again, doing poor people's jobs and just working 60 hours a week. And I think it took me a good month before I even cracked open, the system and really got in, even though I was so pumped when I left there. Life gets in the way and you just, but once I delved in, I always tell, especially your people who are interested or even your newer students who talk to me all the time is, they're like, well, where do you start? I said, you got to start with the training. You gotta educate yourself on exactly how to do this business. And I always say, get the Land Profit Generator, watch the videos. When you're done watching them, watch them again. And when you're done watching them, watch them again. And then you're going to even have to go back and watch a couple different sections again as you evolve and start doing things. Okay, you get your counties down, and then what do you do now? Okay, I got to go read the mailing out the letters section, and then you're like, okay, I got an offer. Or how do I set up my phone system, or whatever the case may be. I use land calls, and I mean it's just been tremendous. I for the first few months I didn't have land calls, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm on the freeway, and I got somebody calling me, and of course at the beginning you're dying to get that first deal, so it's like. I'm practically swerving in traffic trying to answer the phone because somebody's calling me, and I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. I can't be, one, I had a job and I can't just answer the calls when I'm in a, Fortune 500 meeting, with a bunch of directors and executives, so you let them go and you're worried, oh my God, now I just lost that, that lead or something like that. So when I got land calls, I mean, that just changed everything because
recommend on landcalls.com.
Yeah, I mean, because they call in and who's interested, and then everything is easy after that.
Because that's why I don't get it. Why other people in the industry always teach these blind offers. They work, but the response rate is lower. You miss deals because you just miss them by a few hundred or a few $1,000s because nobody has talked to the seller and you need to do so much more research up front if the area is not all the same. And I much rather send something out, have people contact me that want to sell, and then spend a little extra time on those to get the offer right and to get it accepted. And just this morning, one of my students he does this from Germany, sent me an email, sent me a message, said he got a deal accepted for $18,000 that's worth $80,000. And it's like, great, right? So that would have not happened with a blind offer. So you just, I don't get it why people do that. I mean, there's a space for blind offers, but later on, when I already know your area well and you know the values, then you can go blind offers because you know exactly what to offer to get those deals. But yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. So tell us about one of your, before we started the recording, you started telling me about a deal that you've been just wrapping up last week or so, that where actually a couple of things went wrong, but then it turned, initially that you made a couple of mistakes, but then it with the kind of who you mailed to or something, you forgot to exclude or include somebody, and then you still ended up making like $20,000 on the deal. So tell us that deal right now.
Yeah, I mean, so I always find, if you go back to some of your first videos on Land Profit Generator, it talks about how I like to get the quick hitting deals, and so doing your filtering, I use Agent Pro a lot for my lists, which I admit some of the information's outdated, but there's always skip tracing, and I always end up finding really good deals through there. So I use that. So when you go through the Agent Pro system, there's a bunch of filters you can do, and I always do out of state owners because those are going to be the most motivated. I mean, I would say 90% of the deals I've ever gotten was somebody who didn't live right next to the property. Now, with that said, so I did this last list, and man, I printed out, God, probably over 1,000. I still have a couple of them. Actually, I'll show you. this is the rest of the list right here in this box, right? You know, printed out that, you know, I was like, I looked, you know, my wife did the list for me and I said, well, did you filter for out of state? Because this is an awful lot because usually if you filter for out of state, you're not getting the volume. You know, you're getting slightly less because everybody doesn't live out of state next to the property, right? So, so I go, you know, what did you do? How did you get so many? And I start looking at the addresses and the particular area I was targeting. I mean, 99% of the letters, the people lived right next door to the property, or they lived in that same city or town. And I was like, oh man, this is not going to be good. You know, it's going to overwhelm my system because everybody and their mom's going to call. You know, so I said, I thought this was a huge mistake, but, you know, slowly but surely I said, you know, these are good leads. We're still going to mail them. So we slowly filtered in, you know, we do 400, 500 mailing, and we filter in maybe 100 of those, you know, and we send those out. That way the system doesn't get too overwhelmed. So then I ended up, you know, somebody called me back and I look up their address. I'm like, okay, here's the property. They literally own a huge 40-acre estate right above where these two, it's a half-acre and a quarter-acre property. And they live right next door. And they live in this big mansion, you know, 40 acres, and then they own all these little parcels kind of around their estate. I guess they want a little bit of buffer because 40 acres wasn't enough, you know, or
Right.
they had opportunities through time. So I talked to this old man. He's about 80 years old, and he's basically, he's like, yeah, I'm retiring, or I retired or whatever, and I'm old, and my wife passed away about 3 years ago, and I have all these properties and I'm paying taxes on it, and I don't know why, because I don't even leave my house, you know, and especially with COVID going on right now, it's like he's not leaving his house. So so he's basically, and he tells me just a little bit of his background, and, you know, he was a civil engineer and all this stuff, and he made tons of money. And so, you know, long story short, he is rich and he doesn't want any of these properties, and he doesn't want to leave them to his son. I even talked to his son, and his son's like, yeah, I mean, I'm rich too. And he didn't say that, but that's based on conversation. All I hear is, okay, I'm rich too. Cause based on his story, that's what I heard. So, you know, so he's like, yeah, I don't want these pieces of dirt. You know, I don't know what to do with them. I'm not a builder. I'm not a real estate guy. You know, he's like, that's your job. You're the real estate guy. You do something with them. I said, I will gladly do something with them. So, so I got these 2 lots, half acre, quarter acre, you know, for under contract for $9,000, and marketed them, got them on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, whatever. And in about 3 weeks, I had tons of people really interested. And a lot of times, I actually had the neighbor next door. I went out to the property because I only lived maybe 2 hours from that location, and I put up my for sale sign. And literally within 2 hours, I had the neighbor calling me, and he wanted to buy the property. And I said, you know, I'll give you a pretty good deal, you know, since you live right next door. And you know, it turns out he lost his job due to COVID. And he couldn't buy the property. I said, you know, I'm sorry. He's like, can you wait a little bit? I said, no. I mean, this is a hot property. I have people calling me, texting me every single day. You know, this is my business. I got to sell it. So, anyways, a couple weeks went by, and I got a real motivated person. So, you know, they showed up, signed a contract. They said, hey, we'll get you the cashier's check on Monday. I went and met him on Monday. You know, and that was the check I had posted in the post, was the $32,000 check. Now I didn't get all of the 32,000, you know, profit, but 20 of that, which is definitely a good chunk, I think is definitely a solid deal for sure.
That is perfectly fine. A $20,000 check is good at any day of the week, and particularly with going with the filtering thing right now. Now, having said that, we're not at all against sending out to in-state owners, but you're right. It's not very typical that you get the deal from the guy that literally lives right next door, because if they sell the property, then the question arises as like, okay, is there anything wrong with the property? Is there anything? Why is he selling it so cheap? What does he know that we don't know? But then that's where the story comes in. That's where the power of not doing a blind offer comes in. That's where the power comes in of actually talking to them or calling them back. Or so even if you have land calls, take care of the calls for you. You can still call occasional sellers back and say like, okay, so tell me a little bit more about this, right? And then it turns out that it's an 80-year-old gentleman that has more money than he needs for the remainder of his days, and his kids are very typical. They're like, yeah, no, I don't want this dirt. No, I'm not. I want to live in New York City, living la vida loca, right? So
yeah. It's funny you say that, Jack, because the son actually, he lives in not India. He lives in England, and he only just flew, but he happened to just fly back right when I called his dad and got him on the line and got their whole story. And so he lives in England. He owns a manufacturing company making wind turbines in the ocean, 100,000 employee or 100 employees or whatever. And he's just like, yeah, I don't even want to come back to the States when my dad passes away and deal with his estate. So, he's like, you're the expert here. Whatever the offer is, we'll take it. He had told me at the time, yeah, he's got a lot of other properties and all that. So once you get these ones done, let me, come back to me and I'll basically give you some more. And I thought, oh man, I'm in Vegas and I just hit the damn slot machine, on this one, client. And it turns out the other few properties aren't, one, they're not really going to sell them because they're kind of more attached to their estate. But he did tell me, I got a neighbor across the street, same deal. He's 80 years old, got tons of money. He's got some properties that he's willing to liquidate. And so, hopefully they're going to turn me on to that person. And so, it's all about building these relationships, and those phone conversations are just so, I have turned no deals into exceptional deals just because I'm able to talk to people and get, a lot of it's listening, and then a lot of it is just building that rapport. They know you're a good guy. They know that you're going to help them and basically put money in their pocket. And so they end up trusting you and building that rapport. And, some of these people beyond these land deals would really do anything for me. If I called them up and I said I needed help, I feel like that's how I feel based on phone conversations that I have for them now, if that's a reality or not, obviously.
No, but what you're saying is that what I'm hearing, what you say is that you're really doing this the right way. And the right way is to care about the people you're buying these properties from. It's not stealing properties from little old grandmas.
Yeah.
It's situations just like this. It's like we would never steal property from a little old grandma. As a matter of fact, most states in the country have laws against that if you do that, they can actually come after you. So no, this is an older gentleman and this is a typical case, and not all that they're older. Sometimes somebody's told me like, I'm too old to wait for this property to go up in value. It's like, sir, you don't sound very old. He's like, well, I'm 57. He's like, well, that's not old, but hey, who am I to judge, right? If he feels he's too old, then he feels he's too old.
Yeah.
So it makes total sense that but yeah, this is the thing. We're not stealing properties from little old grandmas. We're building a relationship with people, understanding what their needs are, understanding where they are, making them an offer, and they're like, yeah, even if it's a little less than they were expecting, they're like, yeah, I don't care, I don't want it, you can have it, and the kids don't want it, and then you literally become their friend, and so much that they refer you to the neighbors, or also keep that in mind, James, that even though they're not selling the other lots right now yet, make sure you stay in contact with the guy, like every half a year or so. Just call him and says like, hey, just wanted to check in to see if you're ever ready to sell the other ones. Let me know. And sooner or later, you'll have them say, you know what are we holding on the other buffer around the 40 acres too? Anyway, let's just also sell them. And you might half a year from now, 2 years from now, get all the other ones and make another 50 or 100 grand of them.
Yeah. That's the dream, right, Jack? You talk about the people who just don't want it. I think the second deal I did after going to the live event in 2017, it's a deal I talk about all the time. I post about all the time, but it's a lady who lived in Florida, again, an older person, never coming back to California. And people, it's funny because your students go, how are you doing deals in California? Isn't California too expensive? I said, no, guys, I live right here. And, I live in Los Angeles. And I thought, yeah, initially when I started, I thought the same thing. I said, how the heck am I going to do deals in California? Like, I can't afford to buy them. They're not impossible. There are small areas in every single state. I'm not just going to, because I don't want everybody coming to California, but there are areas in every single state where, even you think, oh, well, around Phoenix, how am I going to get a deal around Phoenix? But there's some small areas there that are in the path of growth. The city has plans, or the county has plans to move people there because of the population and homelessness and whatever the case may be. People need housing. And so anyways, people ask me all the time, how are you doing deals? So I do deals all the time in California. I do deals all the time in Arizona. I do deals up in Oregon. I do deals in Utah. So this one deal.
If I can quickly jump in on that, and then yes, let's hear about that deal. Is that, yeah, for example, one of the areas that we failed spectacularly and that we tell everyone that we failed was Napa. We picked by mistake Napa or Sonoma County. So how stupid do you have to be to go into a county where every lot is worth $500,000 or $1 million and everyone is creating $100 bottles of wine and so on? Well, it's not that I was stupid, but it made sense because it's a somewhat a little bit rural county right outside of the big city, and the big city is growing, lots of people, lots of money, they want to go and have their own piece of land. Well, so we sent 900 letters, we got nothing from there. And then ultimately we did get a deal, and then we made $30,000, but that was by actually attending an auction. It's a long story, but from the mailings, we got really nothing directly. But then now students report to me that they get deals in Sonoma County all the time, just that there's, obviously they don't get the $1 million an acre wine country areas, but there's some pockets and areas and little towns where an acre is only worth $50,000 and that they're picking it up for 10 and selling it for 30. So even there it works. You just got to be a little bit using a little finer comb in those areas. Yeah. But now tell me about that deal.
Yeah. So like I said, the second deal that I did, I think after the live event, October 2018, it just so incredible. Old lady lives in Florida, in her 80s. She actually owned a bunch of parcels at some point in this particular area. And this was the last one that she was just kind of holding on to. And, I built rapport up with her, talked to her on the phone, got her a whole life story. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm never going back to California. I'm staying in Florida. I can't even fly anymore, all this stuff. And it's sort of like for her, it was like a camping lot, even though it was in a very up and coming residential neighborhood. She said, yeah, we used to just go on the lot and camp on it. And I'm not doing any camping. I said, oh, okay, fantastic. So anyways, I got the property under contract for $152. She owed maybe $200 in back taxes. So I'm like, of course, yeah. I'll cover everything, cover all the closing. I closed the deal. It was only my second deal, but I was able to close it myself. And I resold it not even a month later for $10,000. So, $300, and I paid out of my pocket. I had that. I told you I'd pulled that 10 grand out of my 401k. And so I said, well, I can skim off $300 to buy this property and just to lock it down. And, so I did. And it's funny because that one I could have totally double closed on because she was all the way in Florida. Nobody was stealing this deal from me, or anything like that. So anyway, so that was $9,700, give or take.
And for 30 time return on your money, right?
Yeah.
If with closing costs, the 9 time or 10 time or 8 time return on your money, who's counting? But that's beautiful. I mean, that's what we're talking about. So I love it. So man, we got to wrap up right now. Just one thing, a couple of last questions, and that is, what if you think back to the early days, you said your mom was a seminar junkie. I love that you haven't gone back to any live event, because when we do live events, I always say in the first half a day, that I want this live event to be your very last live event, because after you're learning this, you don't need anyone else's stuff anymore. You don't need anyone's things anymore, which obviously has been true for you, which I'm very excited about. And but so have you were there any times of doubt in between, or it just clicked and it just worked, or what if in times of doubt, where do you go to to get over some kind of a hurdle or an internal to get over that internal kind of internal hurdle into to get back to a good place of moving forward, because you've been pretty aggressive with even quitting your job within a fairly short time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had, there's areas that, with this business, I think the biggest thing that can overcome you, believe it or not, is laziness. I've gotten, boom, in 1 month, I got a $20,000 deal and I got a $10,000 deal. And now all of a sudden I'm floating on the most money I've ever had in my bank account in my lifetime at one time. I mean, when I worked in corporate America, I'd get my normal salary, that would be, $4,000 or $5,000 or whatever, but then it would go right out the door in bills. So, I've done it where I had 2-3 deals in 1 month, and boom, now all of a sudden I got, 30 G's just sitting in my bank account. All my bills are paid. And so you get lazy and you start just kind of coasting. And I think that's really where the danger zone comes into play, especially a person like me. I mean, I all I'm doing is land. So when I get into coasting mode, I really gotta, shake things up. And luckily I have my super intelligent, crazy motivated entrepreneur wife who is kicking me in the butt. And Jack, I'm sure you can attest to that when you start getting a little swaverly, I'm sure, in your life. You got the backboard of your wife to just kind of kick you in the butt and say, hey, buddy, I know you're sitting pretty right now, but in 2-3 months when you're stressing out over money, it's not going to be pretty. So you better get on it and keep consistent. So I think the biggest thing you need to do in this business is keep consistent, keep to your system, keep mailing, do those things, go on your vacations. But when you're done with your vacations, you got to come back to work, because this is really a full-time job. And you can't forget it. And I think sometimes that's probably one of my biggest hurdles is I start sitting pretty and I start forgetting that I'm running a business. And I think that can happen to a lot of your students and a lot of people out there. I think just in general, as being an entrepreneur, you got to keep your foot on the pedal all the time, because you never know. I mean, you have some dry months where, you mail your heart out, you're doing your system and just nothing is really working out. And it's not a testament to a bad system. It's just a testament to the way the world works and how the numbers go.
Right. Something like COVID hits, and in the first 2 or 3 weeks of COVID, nothing kind of happened, but then everyone started buying land like crazy. Right?
Yeah.
So it's you have those kind of little phases sometimes where just for whatever reason, Murphy's Law, or just nothing moves, but then all of a sudden you sell like 4 in 1 week, and then or 5 in 1 week, and that's just the nature of it. So I love your honesty. Thank you very much. Yes, it's at the end of the day, right? If you point to somebody, there's always 33, or if you point to somebody, there's always 3 fingers pointing back to you, right? So it's like you can't blame somebody else. You got to put in the work. You got to do the pieces. So that's it. I mean, the last question I have: what do you tell somebody who is like somewhat on the fence and sitting there and is like considering this? Is like, hey, this is obviously, they can go to our Land Profit Generator real estate group on Facebook. They can check it out. There's like, I think in the last 36 hours, there are like 4 brand new first deal success students being posted. This is very normal. Every week we get between like 5 and 15 success stories from students about their first deal or sometimes it's the second or third deal, but often it's like it's true brand new people success stories. So but what do you tell somebody that or you can go to our website, landprofitfund.com, landprofitfund.com. It's like fun, like having fun. But what do you tell somebody, James, that is like on the fence? What is your recommendation to them?
It's funny because I've talked to a few people in the last few weeks. They've tried to friend request me on Facebook and talk to me. And, I tell them it's no joke. These deals are real, but you have to put in the work, and you have to do the training, and you have to, listen to the videos and stay motivated and follow the steps. If you follow the steps, you will attain and achieve success. A lot of times I see these students who, they've already dabbled in real estate. They've already been house flippers. They already, they think they know everything already. But obviously they don't, because they're not having any success anymore at house flipping. So they're looking to land and they think, oh, well, based on what Jack says, this is going to be super easy. And I've already got my systems and I know what to do. But those are the people right off the bat that I can tell you will fail because they're not willing to be teachable. And you got to be teachable and you got to follow the steps and you got to do it by the letter, and literally send out the letters. And, I get people all the time, well, I can do it all online. I can do this, you can do that. I'm, very tech savvy. It's like, that's not Jack's model. If you want a different land system that uses that model, you're not going to be happy with Jack's model because you're going to deviate and you're not going to achieve success. So get in line, stay in line. That's it.
Oh, I love that you remember that. So yeah, that's one of our big mottos always, or mantras. All right. So with that said, thank you very much, James. I'm super excited about your success. Congratulations. Keep going. Don't be complacent, right? You can with just a few more fine tunes or a few more things, you can probably double that, and with not working much more. So with that said, everyone, thank you very much. Or even like $100,000 a year or more is fantastic. It's like allows you to live that stressless lifestyle. And plus you're playing the entrepreneurial game that you can write off a whole bunch more that you were able to write off as an employee. That's what people forget. It's like, well, I made $100,000 as an employee. Now I'm making $100,000 land flipping. Isn't that the same? It's like, no, it's not. You're probably taking home 50% more as a land flipper because you can write off a whole bunch of stuff. Every trip you do now that to visit family can become potentially you got to check with your CPA, can become a trip where that's right off because you might check out areas to potentially invest land in, right? You got to be there. You got to do that, right? So you can do all these different things. You can write off vehicles, you can write off meals, you can write off all the stuff that before you couldn't write off. So you make $100,000, you're really taking home $75,000 or $80,000 of that versus making $100,000, taking home 40 or 60 or whatever it is. So you're taking home substantially more money. You can probably experience that already too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I use Warren, your guy, and the team over there at Terrell. And they're amazing. I mean, I'm always surprised at how much money they get me back at the end of every year. And, everybody's worried about these tax deadlines. And my taxes were done back in January because I'm waiting for that check to come in, at the beginning of the year. So, yeah, definitely CPAs. And I always go, I make everything a vacation and I write it all off. So every time I go touch a piece of land, it's a vacation and it's a write-off. So.
There we go. All right. So with that said, everyone, thank you very much. This concludes our next show. Again, we put some links and things in the show notes here, but also as always, give us a 5-star review. Go check out landprofitgenerator.com or landprofitfund.com. Go check out our website, our Facebook group, Land Profit Generator Real Estate Investing Group on Facebook, where James just posted his last deal and where lots of our students are hanging out and helping each other, sharing deals. And it's one of the most giving groups that I have ever seen on Facebook. So with that said, thank you very much. And thank you, James.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Enjoyed this episode? Then make sure you like, subscribe, and post your comments and questions below the video. We're looking forward to hearing from you.